you doing in my swamp?
Ghost of Tsushima's story made me go like, yeah! But the rest of the game made me go like,
Salang!
Baba Booey.
This game was kind of completely the opposite of what I thought it was going to be. I thought the story was going to be the amazing part, and the open world was going to be the passable part, if I'm being honest. But it turned out being completely the other way. The story was mediocre, but the open world, So, let's talk about the bad, alright? Let's talk about the bad, get it out of the way, so that we can talk about the good, because I really do love this game, but I want to talk about the bad first, so we can get it out of the way. Like I said, the story for me was the low point of the game. I often found myself wanting to leave the story and just do more and more side quests, because that was the more fun part. And for me, somebody who rarely loves narrative games, that was a bad sign already. Now, it's not that the story doesn't have some great moments. It does, but unfortunately, it's overshadowed by many things. Number one, this whole honor thing in the story. I was very interested to see that. I actually really wanted to see the conflict it would create, even if it's not historically accurate. You know, this game takes a lot of historical liberties, so that would be fine with me. But it just came off very contrived and like not fleshed out enough, very ham-fisted the way they did the whole honor thing and how it created character conflict. And I'm going to keep that vague as to not spoil for you. And then on top of that, you know, you have bad lip sync, which I thought I wouldn't mind too much, but add it on top of the other issues with the story, and it really does show itself sometimes. I mean, sometimes the lip sync and the facial animations were really good. Sometimes they were actually really, really good.
I trained you to fight with honor.
Honor died on the beach. The Khan deserves to suffer.
But when they were bad, they were bad, and they take you out of some of the scenes as well, man.
Hold up.
And while some of the characters are interesting, like the main character Jin Sakai, he is very interesting, and I love playing as him, and very well voice acted. In fact, all the voice acting is good, but while his character development is good, all the side characters, pretty much all the side characters, not all of them, there was an exception, Taka, he was a great side character, but pretty much every other side character, I don't know, I just didn't care for, they were just fairly forgettable in my opinion. I thought I was gonna love it, but I ended up feeling like it just fell flat, like. Next bad thing, lack of polish. Now let me just say, there is polish in a lot of areas of this game where it matters, like combat and exploration, but there is also a lack of polish that cannot be ignored. Now, I already talked about bad facial animations in the story and stuff, but on top of that, there is also sometimes with the side quests and main quests, it's framed weirdly at times, quite honestly, and on top of that, you know, like there's just other little weird things going around in the game. Like whenever you fight a bear, if it ever grabs you, the animation is just not finished and it's always glitching out. At least in my experience, I never once fought a bear where if it caught me, the animation was polished. It was always like glitching out and flailing me about, you know. And on top of that, you know, most trees you won't clip into, but there's these bamboo fields, these bamboo tree fields, and for some reason, Jin can just run straight through them. Like, he literally just clips right through them. And again, not a major thing, but it's one of those things that when it happened to me in the game, I was like, oh, come on. Come on, guys. Would it have been that hard to give that model a hitbox? You know, little things like that for me were kind of like little bits of immersion breaking, but again, nitpick, nickety pickety. And the stealth, which is weird, because, you know, this is a game where stealth is meant to be like half the game, but I found that most of the stealth skills were kind of meh, and whenever I had to do stealth in this game, I found myself falling asleep. It was just, the stealth part of this game was boring, which is unfortunate when it was meant to take up like half of it, or it was meant to be one of the paths you could choose. It was meant to be one of the gameplay paths you could choose, but I don't see anybody choosing it because it is just boring, and that segues me into the good. Let's start with the combat. It wasn't too challenging, but it wasn't too easy either. I did play on the hardest difficulty. Personally, I can't see anyone playing on lower than the hardest difficulty, because the hardest difficulty gave you just enough challenge, but not too much. It made you exactly feel like a skilled samurai, and I loved that. Everything in this combat was amazing, to the fact that enemies would attack you at the same time. Like, I'd be parrying one enemy, another enemy would stab me in the back. You have to be careful in a way. Even if the combat can be easy at times, the AI, when it comes to full-fledged action combat, is not the dumbest, and I really did appreciate that.
If you just continue to press the same button like the X, 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 and Y, 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 and X, X, and Y, Y, Y again, you'll be sucked.
On top of that, you got that standoff mechanic, which I loved, and with the skill tree, you can progress it to not just getting 1, you can go all the way to 4 if you time it correctly, and that, even if it's not the hardest thing to pull off, sometimes they will fool you, but even if it's not the hardest thing to pull off, it is honestly so fun. On top of that, you got 4 stances that you can use, alright? 1 for sword enemies, 1 for shield enemies, 1 for brutes, and 1 for spear enemies. And I have to say, I loved all 4 of them, but they were all fun, and you don't have to use each stance. You can technically fight most enemies in one stance, but obviously using each stance for each enemy helps out a lot and gives you some really cool new animations as well. It's just great from a gameplay variety standpoint. Like, I loved whenever you fought the brutes that you'd be kicking them, you're like, bah, 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 and then you do like a spin attack. Oh, dude, it was just so amazing, that part of the game, the combat. And then you have 2 types of parries. You have your normal parries, where you just kind of like slide under the guy and you get a couple hits in, and you have perfect parries, where if you've got it in the skill tree, it slows down time and you get this big slash sparks flying everywhere. Oh yes, man. Oh yes. And that brings me to skill trees. Now, you have a skill tree for every stance. You have a skill tree for your samurai gameplay. You have a skill tree for your ghost gameplay. You have a skill tree for exploration. This game is skill trees coming out of its ass. I mean, seriously. It gave me something to progress through the entire game, and it gave me reasons to do side quests. Now, on side quests, you have different types of tales, as they are called. They're not called side quests in this. The main quest is called Jin's Journey, and the side quests are called, you know, just tales or mythic tales. And mythic tales were my favorite part of the game by far. Better than the story missions by a mile. I mean, you get these great, like, brushstroke animations of like a legend of old, and then you have to go on a big quest to find their armor or their weapon or get their mythic skill. Oh, those mythic skills were amazing. Like, there is one that you just slice through the enemy. Oh yeah. And it's things like that that keep the world feeling alive. On top of that, when it comes to the world feeling alive, this open world just completely blew me away. I mean, it is so genius to have animals lead you to points of interest. That was just perfect. And that foxes will lead you to shrines where you can get new charm slots for new little passive abilities to help your armor or to help your weapons, you know, or to help your exploration. And then birds can lead you to similar, just like general points of interest, right? And I found that so great because it's not just a mark on your map. It's not just blah, blah, blah. The world is alive and it's actively showing you new things as opposed to just mark on your map. Of course, the mark on your map stuff is there, but having these more alive elements really added to the world for me. Moreover, I feel like I just need to talk about how amazing this letting the wind guide you mechanic is. There's no mini-map. You literally just let the wind show you where to go. And I find that so amazing because this whole game has an atmosphere of wind being important. Like, it's not really a spoiler, it's one of the moments I enjoyed from the game where his father is the wind behind his back, and that wind is showing you where to go. And on top of that, Jin can pull out a shakuhachi, like a Japanese flute, and you can just start playing it. It's amazing.
Are you looking at this?
And the world is beautiful. So beautiful.
What are you doing on computer? Go outside, so beautiful!
From the golden sunsets to the leaves falling everywhere. I just love how you can get so enveloped in the world and just drop one thing for another, because it just takes you in like that. And then we get to the customization. The customization, I'm not gonna lie, at first I was a bit afraid that the customization was going to be lackluster. But from everything from the sets you can find in the story to just out in the open world, through the mythic tales, and then they all get 4 levels of upgrades that change their appearance. And if you upgrade them for their different attributes, right, you can still click change appearance. So if you've got it on the 4th appearance but you don't like the 4th appearance, you preferred how it looked in the 2nd appearance, you can keep all the benefits of the 4th upgrade while keeping the 2nd appearance, for example. And I just think that's perfect. And you can mix and match your helmets, mix and match your masks. You don't have to wear all one set, which I was kind of afraid would be a problem with this game, but thankfully it isn't. Then with your swords, you've got different sword sets. Unfortunately, your blade never changes. It's always the Clan of Sakai blade, which I guess is okay. The only thing that changes really is your hilt, which, you know, I'm happy with that. At first I wasn't, but then I saw all the different sword sets you could get that changed your hilt colors and the patterns of your sheath, and I actually ended up really liking it. Now what's great about the armor sets is they all have different attributes, and it just forces you to play in different ways, and I really do love it. And finally I found my favorite one, which was the Sakai clan armor mixed with a little bit of Ronin, you know, with a face mask and a big metal hat. And photo mode. I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the photo mode. I mean, seriously. Oh, I loved the photo mode. Like, just from the fact that you can change the time of day, you know, pan, tilt, depth of field, all this stuff, different filters, and the fact that it kind of doesn't just become a still, the fact that you can make a little movie with it, photo mode was amazing. In conclusion though, guys, Ghost of Tsushima is a game that was definitely hurdled by its glitches, its lack of polish at times, and a mediocre story. However, it rises above that with the gameplay variety it provides you, with one of the best open worlds in a long time in terms of just objectives to complete and how beautiful it is, and the fact that the combat was just so perfect, just so amazing feeling, to where I didn't even care about certain issues that I've brought up. Of course, it brings the score down a little bit, but the game is amazing, and I'm gonna keep playing it and be so happy that I'm done with the story, so that now I can just play the parts that I like about the game and go about the game in my own way. So without further ado, Ghost of Tsushima is an 8 out of 10.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes, baby. Anyway guys, thanks everybody for watching. I hope you did enjoy. If you did, leave a like, a comment, and consider subscribing as well. Twitter link down below, Discord link down below, and I will see you in the next video.